What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 130 of the Lombard Trucking Show. 130. We have made it a buck 30 on the call. Thank you all once again for being here. Thank you for tuning into the last episode. I know it has been a little bit, but we have been dialed throughout this entire month of October. It's been an October surprise here at the Lombard Trucking Show. A lot of cool stuff to talk about. Just some one-on-one. I'm flying solo today, just me, giving a little after-action report, talk about things going on, talk about what's going on into this week, a little bit through the end of the year. But let's break down. Let's get right into it. Let's talk Broker Carrier Summit 2024 up here in Fort Worth. So for anybody who is not familiar, Broker Carrier Summit is a standalone event started by a fantastic gentleman, Dan Lindsay, out there. Big shout out to him for putting on another amazing event. Second one only I've been to. I know that it's a brand new event, started in 2023. First one was in Indianapolis. There's always going to be two of these events a year, one in the spring, one in the fall, each in a different location. And Kansas City was a great time. Like personally, I don't know how you can top events or how events can keep getting better. But in Fort Worth, it was phenomenal. Just the way it was set up, how the networking was. You know, I wasn't up there for the full event, but I got a good recap from Trey Griggs, friend of the show, who's been on the show, as well as everybody who I was able to talk to in attendance there. If you are in this industry in any capacity, this event needs to become like the standard, like part of your standard. Like it needs to be a requirement. Off the rip, what I will tell you, and this isn't like inside baseball, this isn't secret information. I'm not giving away secrets or speaking for anybody. Kerry Jablonski, a former guest of the show, CEO of Trucker Tools, dropped this right in the comments section regarding the Broker Carrier Summit. There are no booths there for sponsors of the event. That's the first thing I just wanted to say. So if you've been to events in the past, Mid-America Truck Show is a big one. There's booths there because it's a little bit different. I'd say that the Mid-America Truck Show has a different purpose than Broker Carrier Summit, where there is networking and there's also still a little bit of nostalgia and sales for motor carriers and companies. And it's a little bit more marketing, and it's so huge that you need booths given the location being in the convention center. But like this event, which is similar to like if you're in the industry, like TIA or other industry conferences, so to speak. I know that when I was in Nashville recently for the Orange Theory convention, there was simultaneously the Association of Supply Chain Managers conference going on in there, and that one had a room with a bunch of booths. This Broker Carrier Summit does not. And this is said, you can go right on LinkedIn and see what Kerry Jablonski said about how there were no booths there, and that's what she preferred. And from the outside looking in, when you think about it, when you eliminate the booth, you are coercing, you are forcing those in attendance to mingle, to network, to talk, to break bread, make connections, have those conversations, as opposed to wandering around going like booth to booth, where it's a little bit kind of segregated to that aspect. So right there, just that type of event, just the kind of open floor concept for a conference is phenomenal. I made the comparison actually to, in the NFL, they want to make it safer with head injuries and everything. And personally, I believe that if you want to make the NFL safer, you would remove the helmet completely. Because when you remove the helmet, the tackler is going to take less risks and they're going to perform cleaner tackles, wrapping at the waist, similar to rugby style, as well as ball carriers, people carrying the football, will not lead with their head because they're going to look out for themselves. So you remove the helmet, you remove their weapon to defend themselves, then you probably lower the risk of injuries to people's heads. We see this in rugby. You want a conference to succeed? Take away your boots. I'm going to put it right there. But just from a networking aspect, let's talk about this groundbreaking stat. It's just the fact that over 500 people attending this event, the motor carriers outnumbering the brokers. That is huge. So that should open up some eyes and ears over there across like the LinkedIn domain, to you guys on Twitter. If in I'm even speaking to company drivers on this. You need to be talking to, whether your motor carrier is 1 to 100 trucks. You need to be talking to your fleet managers, the owners of your companies, no matter how big or small. Be like, hey, you should be at this event in spring, because I know it's going to be in Indianapolis next spring. Like, you need to start talking to them now. Have them get in touch with Dan Lindsay. Have them follow Broker Carrier Summit on social media. Get them in the know on this event, because you have nothing but good to walk away from it. I know that the event comes with a cost. I'd say it's a fair cost for a business to attend. I think, like, when I had looked up the total cost, it's somewhere around $700. Correct me if I'm wrong if you guys are tuning in live. $700 to attend a conference. So the opportunity you have as a motor carrier, you just had you're having free one-on-one access now to over 120 brokerages who want to talk to you. Because as we've had brokers on this show before, it's more difficult for a broker to find a carrier than it is for a carrier to find a broker. Like, brokers need to find carriers. And look, this isn't an episode to talk about who's good, who's bad, brokers bad, carriers bad, we know that there's bad carriers. We know that there's bad brokers. We're not talking about them, because the people who attend Broker Carrier Summit are not bad players. The type of people who come to that conference are obviously people who want to win, and they want to help others win. And they know that helping others win is how they're going to win. So let's just, before there's any live comments that drop in about like all brokers suck or all carriers are dumb drivers, we're not having that conversation this episode. You need to be talking. So if you're a company guy, you maybe you don't need to be there. Although I think drivers should go. I think if a company is going to put themselves there and you work for maybe a medium-sized fleet, you should definitely consider sending drivers there as well, because the drivers are the ones on the ground doing the job. Kind of like sidebar to that, when I brought this up because I spoke on a panel at Broker Carrier Summit talking about training and development. I posted this on Twitter recently. So you talk about getting the drivers involved in the business. I posted an article from a Cummins magazine from several years ago about Lombard Brothers Incorporated, and about how they had adopted these certain Cummins engines to go in their trucks. And when it came to the equipment that Lombard owned, they would have regular training meetings with drivers on the equipment, like regular breakfasts to talk about the equipment, how it should run, how it should operate, ways to fix it, everything like that, like giving the whole specs about it. The drivers were in tune with it. That doesn't happen much anymore. Like when I was with Pam Transport, they didn't tell me one thing about PACCAR engines. And when I got into a newer Peterbilt, they didn't tell me one thing about the Cummins X15 or whatever is in it. I didn't know anything about engines. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a diesel tech, and they don't tell you anything about it. They tell you to pre-trip, and obviously you learn how to pre-trip, and that's where you get some level of mechanical inclination, is when you're learning about your pre-trip at CDL school. And maybe there are motor carriers that do this. I don't know. I don't have the all-seeing eye of what carriers are doing, how they're training, but I'd say that it's probably not the standard. So if you're a carrier, consider this event heavily and consider sending your drivers to it, because your driver is going to be out there, hauling the loads for these brokers, and that face-to-face communication is huge. Before I kind of dive a little bit deeper into this, I give this kind of comparison all the time with what technology has done. And I probably said it on the show before, with what technology has done to not just this industry, but everywhere, and I'm talking and upwards of not just technology, but I'm talking about also like AI technology. So if you think about it, when it came to music, right? If you wanted to listen to music at, not that long ago, 150 years ago, I'm not sure when, records and stuff had come out. But if you wanted to listen to music at a certain point in history, you had to go to a concert and watch an orchestra, or you had to own a piano, or you had to go watch people sing. Like, there was no physical possible way to enjoy music unless you were playing it or watching somebody play it. That's it. That was the only way to consume music. Eventually, you were able to record things, and we had, big record players, and you're able to listen to music without being present in it. Fast forward all throughout technology, radio, and now, CDs, iPods. We've come so far when it comes to listening to music. You can now use artificial intelligence to create an entire live concert of music that a human never wrote, and it's performing in front of a crowd, and it's getting so good, you're almost at the point to where the music, you don't know if the music's real or not. I have friends in a group chat who send like AI music that sounds just like a pop punk band or something. I wouldn't know any better if that was a recording studio of 5 guys in there or it being AI. So we're almost coming to the point now to where if you want to enjoy good raw music, you got to go back to watching it in person, going to the actual show, despite everybody having to hold their phone up throughout an entire concert for some reason, which I'll never kind of understand. Get one picture, boom, seeing the show, and then I want to VOD. We're doing the same thing is happening now with business. We have, we were at the point where Lombard, my family's company, I mean, my grandfather, owner, driver of Lombard, he knew every one of the customers. He was there. He talked to the owners, and they hauled everything, furniture, clothing, freight all kinds, LTL stuff. I know Lombard did have about 50 over the road guys, but the drivers were very much in tune. They were the only line of communication besides the phone. There was no texting. There was none of that. There was no email. Think about that for a second. Brokers, carriers, no email. How did a motor carrier operate? Relationships. Alex Myatt said this. Been getting too busy chasing the money, not too busy chasing relationships. I want you to actually let that set in. And I really think that with the rise of technology, we've lost our wow factor on things. That SpaceX rocket that got grabbed midair or something. We should be floored at this technology, at how amazing and superior it is. It's unreal. Back when we were in the space race, they used to freaking cancel school when a rocket would go off. That's how buck wild we used to go for this because it was so patriotic. It was awesome. And now it's just oh, wow, a rocket caught a rocket, swipe up. Oh, subway fight video. Sick. I'm going to watch this fight on a New York City subway. It just does not register. So imagine a motor carrier functioning like Lombard, 10 terminals, 10 states, Baltimore to Maine, no email. And we're complaining about now, macro point, all that tracking stuff. The relationships were that good. So put that in your brain for a second. It operated because the relationships were that good. The communication was that good down to the driver level. I got that one, I got one in me, nothing like doing a show with a little lippy, but kind of going into that when it comes to this summit overall, that's what we're doing now is we've gotten so far along with technology. And ever since the rise of the digital load boards, we're not even using the phones anymore. And I know, and this is repeat. We've said it on the show. Reed has come on the show and talked about it. But the thing is, when it comes to these things, we need to keep having these conversations until as long as the problem still exists. So now we're coming back and we're having to meet face to face and conduct business because the animosity, the tensions, the fraud, everything that has become a problem in the industry is because nobody's talking anymore. Nobody's talking to each other. Nobody's building relationships. And I got to give a big shout out to Ed over there at Neutral up there in Dallas, who's also big on doing this mission. Ed and his co-founder up there, they're doing great things on that. But aside from that, motor carrier, broker, if you are there, it is the event for you. And let's kind of talk about some of the people who were there in the panel that I was on real quick. I was blessed to share the stage with a lot of people that I revere. Adam Wingfield, number one. He is probably one of the most sound businessmen I've ever heard. When he speaks, you listen. What this guy says, his knowledge, where he's come from. I just posted this Teddy Roosevelt quote on Instagram today. Fun fact, today is his birthday. And I've got to look it up. It's when it comes to guys like Wingfield, this is why I got so much respect for him. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. I have never in my life envied a human being who led an easy life. I've envied a great many people who led difficult lives and led them well." You see, guys like Wingfield, he's got his ID from when he drove for Prime. He's been there. He's known it. And it kind of goes right back to that same Napoleon quote where he says, "Your master wanted to remind me that I was a soldier. Don't let him think that the royal purple has made me forget my first trade." That same thing. Wingfield is that guy. He's been in there. He's held a mop. He's pushed a broom. He's been the grunt, and now you see where he is now. His business is partnered with the Carolina Panthers. This is how far he's come. So when it comes to people out there who have wisdom, who have knowledge, who have advice, once again, I have this show. I talk. I'm a coach. I like to motivate and inspire people. But a lot of where I get some of the gumption I believe I give credit to the people I've surrounded myself with and the things I consume. And it's guys like Wingfield who lead the charge. And I also got to share stage with Evan Shelley, CEO of Truck Parking Club, and I know that this is a hot topic, and it was good to have him on stage because he's been getting a lot of flack, especially here on LinkedIn. And it takes a lot of gall for somebody like Evan to take the criticism head on. Criticism will make people quit very easily. Criticism, and that's anything in life. Criticism is actually why people won't even get started. People will tell you it's not worth it, you're crazy, and he pushes through and perseveres. And then, of course, being able to share a stage with Alex Mai. The man has the largest YouTube channel when it comes to anything trucking news related. And here we are talking about stuff in the industry. Me primarily like hitting the talking points on driver health and wellness. But who else is there? I got to give a shout out to the sponsors real quick. Dawn, CEO of Green Screens. And I had said this to the staff at Green Screens, like a company like them. So, they are a freight tech company. They're a competitor of somebody like Sonar, and they're out there partnering with an event like Broker Carrier Summit. For what? How come? Why do they need to do that? Why do they need to be involved? Why do they need to invest their money into being involved in these events and trying and doing all this stuff? They could just focus on your product, sell your product. No, but that's the thing. It goes right back to branding. They truly actually care about the major players in this industry. That's why they even decided to sponsor me, because they care about this mission, my mission, changing the culture of health and wellness in the industry. They don't have to care. They don't have to care about sending a former trucker to Ironman to raise awareness about Project 61 and the fact that drivers, are losing 16 years off their life. They don't have to do that. But it's proof. It's living proof of saying, hey, we're here, we're in this industry, and we're invested in it. Unlike other freight tech companies we've seen rise and fall over the years, come in and out. You've seen all these people come in on, angel wings, and they say, oh, we're here to solve this logistics supply chain crisis, when really, they don't know anything about it, and they're looking for a quick buck. They heard on YouTube that transportation is a gazillion-dollar business. They want a piece of that pie, not realizing that it's not a side hustle. This isn't just something you can just get into with tech and then think your tech's going to solve everything and everything's going to be open to it. It's not. Who else we got on the horn that's down there? TAFS. TAFS is another sponsor of Broker Carrier Summit. Got to give a big shout out to those guys. We've talked about factoring a lot on this show. I still have my thoughts regarding it, but a company like TAFS has invested themselves in this industry to become a company that is quite literally helping motor carriers win, especially when it comes to running their business. So I just got to give some of those quick shout outs real quick. Wanted to talk about that panel that we were on, talking about those issues, especially with, and this was great because Evan confronted the flack he's been taking on LinkedIn about the argument between paid parking and free parking. And here's the thing, for the people who are giving him flack, I hear you. I understand you as a driver. Like the last thing I ever wanted to do was pay for parking. But when push comes to shove, I don't want to be on the on-ramp. I don't want to be there. Like, I don't want to be in unsafe places. So when push came to shove, I would pay for the parking. A lot of times when I had to pay for parking, it was the circumstance of getting fuel or spending X amount of dollars in the store or buying a shower or something that would get you free parking. I know that the TA in Dallas is doing that. I know that the TA in Ontario does that specifically. So it's already been happening pre-Truck Parking Club. But the argument for it is, look, we know the solution. Build more truck parking. And Evan admitted that on stage, where he truly believes that the government is at fault. And I do too, where people people will sometimes balk. They'll say, oh, the government can't get anything right. But the government can get things right. And they did for a good amount of time. The government did a lot right. We won World War II. And obviously that's the military who won it, but the government still did it. And post World War II, the government did a lot of great things. We quite literally, with the help of the federal government, built the world's greatest economy. Under guys like President Eisenhower, who also initiated the interstate highway system, who would be very upset with how the interstate highway system has turned out, given he did not want it to develop with highways gutting major metropolitan areas. That's another argument. But it is the government's fault. You know the demand. They know the markets. I mean, you have all these positions in government. They know what's going on in the economy. They know how many trucks we need. They know that there are cities that are expanding, and yet nothing gets done. And when it gets done, it's totally blocked by red tape, environmental stuff, all this nonsense. And it's a job that just simply needs to get done. And if it's not getting done, then the market is going to step in. And what would you rather? Would you rather, when it comes to the argument against the truck parking club, whether you're for or against it, what would you rather? Nothing be done and it's just status quo, and we get maybe 25 spots here and there off of the highway for $25 million or some astronomical price, and then it takes 3 years for them to build? It's just, you have two options. It's either truck parking club disappears, dissolves tomorrow and goes away, and we go back to the way it was a couple of years ago, or they exist in the interim while more solutions continue to get figured out. And I believe truck parking club, with a team, with guys like Evan Shelley at the helm, are always going to do what they can to stay ahead of the curve and remain competitive to make the industry better. You see where Evan Shelley goes. He's at all the events. He's just as involved in the industry. He's talking with carriers every day. He employs drivers on his staff. Drivers are talking to drivers all the time. They are fielding calls 24/7. They're not, when a driver calls Truck Parking Club, they're not speaking to some clown in the Philippines. They're talking to another fellow truck driver. It doesn't get much better than that. If he wanted to, he could cut all that, and they could just have a bunch of people in South America or wherever, or use some offshore labor and stuff like that. That's not the case. He's hiring American. He's hiring truck drivers. He's staying ahead of the curve. He's listening to drivers. The guy's an open book. If you want to have a general conversation with him, he's open to talk to you about it. So it was good to hear Evan's case on stage about that, and especially how at the end of the day, we really got to give it out to these smaller independent truck stops. Chris Thomas, friend of the show, Indie Trucker. If you don't follow him on Twitter or everywhere, definitely give him a follow. The guy's a wealth of information. Might be one of the smartest guys I've ever met as well. I mean, he was just at the Large Cars and Guitars in Raphine, Virginia. He described that truck show as somber, of guys seeing the beginning of the end, that the best days are behind them. And that's kind of the mood at some of these older truck stops. You got to realize, these big players, Love's, TA, Pilot, Flying J, and then all the other Pilot subsidiaries, 19, whatever. I mean, they are winning the war of travel centers. And the only kind of new competition you're seeing are the fast travel centers like Quick Trip and some other ones out there, Speedway, where they'll have 15 spots, but there's no showers. They're more of these fast travel centers out there. In the independents, the ones with the big lots, the ones with the diners, the ones that have been around for years and years. Luckily, a lot of them are teaming up with Ambest, a great co-op out there that's really keeping these people alive. And I'd love that. And I know I've been talking with their CEO. I would love to have him on in the near future to talk about that. But these independent truck stops, how are they supposed to compete in this economy? Nobody buys fuel from them anymore because, of fuel cards. Is what people are doing. Motor carriers, truck drivers are getting the fuel from the large truck stops because they get it cheaper, and then they're parking where there's room in these other lots. The truck stops got to make money too. So it's not Truck Parking Club that's the big bad, wolf out here. These little truck stops have to do something to remain competitive. This is the market at work. So again, without going off too long on that, it's that, what would you rather? Go back to what it was, or we just start increasing the supply of overall truck parking? That's what I got to say. So it was good to be a part of that conversation when it came to truck parking. It was good to talk about big shout out to Matt Leffler. It was an honor to meet him in person. He's got to be some of the biggest brains in this industry, and talk about a guy whose heart is truly in with helping anybody who engages with him. But talking, we were breaking it down on stage about the idea of maintenance and unsafe vehicles. 25% of vehicles are failing DOT inspections out there, per the FMCSA, and like having a really good conversation about why that is. And, it goes down to training. It goes down to the turnover, and having these conversations. It's very important for brokerages to hear these in person live as well, as opposed to maybe major media outlets or from TikTok, so to speak, or just out there. So like hearing it in a in-person setting, like from people who've done the job, I think is a huge wake-up call to brokers out there of, okay, this is why I'm having a hard time finding a load. This is why this trailer's got to get repowered. It kind of like brings that full circle and kind of gives a little bit of validation to, okay, this isn't just me. I'm not alone in this. This is why it's going on. Wow, we need to start talking solutions. We need to keep having these conversations. And then I got to give a shout out to Reed Lucillo, big partner of the show, big friend of the show here, the chief meme officer at Truck Parking Club, really lobbing it up because we were going over the ETRI results on what, carriers and the ATA, essential ATA stats on what they think the biggest issues are in the industry. And driver health wasn't on that list. And I definitely wanted to touch base on this because Dr. Mark Manera also mentioned this on LinkedIn the other day. Driver health not being a top concern is got to be huge. Like the fact that driver shortage is still on there is odd. There were some other things on there, top issues in the industry. I believe the failed inspections are in there. Some of the issues that are on there, and this is where I came into play, is most of that graph right there. And this is my philosophy, and you can agree, disagree. It's neither here nor there, but it's my show. So my philosophy is a lot of those problems you see, economy maybe can't get fixed right away by tackling the driver health issue. Although there's an argument for that too. But when you put driver health, when you want to make truck drivers healthy again, when you want to make America healthy again, when you make that the forefront of everything, when you make that the foundation of the culture of the industry or of your business or any of that, you're going to see a lot of those problems go away. You see them go away. It is one of the sure shot trickle down benefits you'd see by people getting healthy and people getting on that wagon of wanting to just reduce their caloric intake and move more. When you do that, and I give that as evidence of not just my testimony, but the testimonies of so many other people that I've met here in Austin and across the country, is as people started building those bricks of that foundation, as they started losing 1 pound, losing 2, as they started getting more steps in, adding more steps, running that first 5K, talking about, there's a woman who I coach at Orange Theory, this morning, she's talking about half marathons. This person who started Orange Theory a year ago, and the idea of running outside was daunting to them. And they've already signed up for a half marathon a year. So we're talking about, so think about what that does to somebody's brain, something that they feared, never wanted to do, never wanted to be involved with, thought like would not want to do it ever. They're now already signed up in just a year's time. Think about that from the position. Think about that now, large scale. Think about that for truck drivers. All of a sudden, guys who are, like guys who are living that way, they're not feeling well. Their mental health is taking a hit. However it is, they start to get healthy. How do you think they are in a year? They want to get more involved. They want to get more involved with the carrier they're working for, the business. How can I help? What more can I do besides being a driver? Can I help? This is my testimony. Is the healthier and healthier I got over the road, the more and more I wanted to do. I just wanted to get involved in all the things. I wanted to talk to more people and have these conversations and network and go to the truck shows and go to these things. Whereas when you're not mentally sound and physically right in that aspect, you want to take care. You're in survival mode. You need to take care of the bare minimum. You need to when you're hungry, you eat. When you're tired, you sleep. You're just taking care of the bare minimum, and going outside of that is very uncomfortable and not desirable in any way. Like pre-2018, I would have hated the idea of like going to a fundraiser, or going to an event, or going to anything like a truck show. Like at my job, when I worked in the warehouse, they had like sales events and dinners all the time. There were conferences similar to like MATS or like Broker Carrier Summit for like, plumbing and HVAC. And I was always able to go, and I loathed if I had to go to one of those events. Like I did not want to do it. I had to travel for work. I had to help open up warehouses and other warehouses in North Jersey and on Long Island. And when I traveled for work, there was like when we would get done for the day, there was everybody who was traveling would like have a dinner, and I hated it. This is when I was like super fat. All I wanted to do was just go back to like the hotel room and just like get a pizza and lamp out and not be around people. So think about that now, large scale. We start making America healthy again. We start getting truckers healthy again. You start talking about those problems on there, the truck parking, all that stuff. People's minds, they start to become freed up to want to get involved with it. And I bring this up, and I know I said it on previous episodes, but I have to make this comparison because getting America's drivers healthy again will come at a cost. It's going to hurt businesses. It won't hurt motor carriers, won't hurt brokerages. It'll hurt the companies that are actively poisoning Americans with added sugars, excess calories, garbage ingredients, fillers, the dyes, all that nonsense. It's going to hurt them. That's who it's going to hurt. So like McDonald's and other and Burger King and Scrubway. I said Scrubway on stage too. Like they're going to take a hit. Coke, Pepsi, like they're going to take hits. There's big companies that are going to take hits because as an industry, we need to unify, spread this message of Project 61, talk about this issue, and say we don't want it anymore. You're killing people. You're taking 16 years off your life. You're poisoning them. You're ruining them with chronic disease, which breaks up their families. It destroys their quality of life. We don't want it. We need to replace you. And when you start replacing the big guys with the better for you options out there that cut the calories, guess what? It's going to, on paper, be bad for business. It's going to make the economy, it might not be good for the overall economy. The GDP could go down. And I use this comparison. I need to use it all the time. And shout out Reed for this because I'm the only guy who can put Subway and slavery in the same sentence. But when Great Britain outlawed slavery in 1833, the GDP in Great Britain plummeted. It sank because the Kingdom of Great Britain, bailed out a lot of the farms and the businesses that were affected off the fact that slavery was now illegal. So if you're an economist or if you're somebody who is pro-business, so to speak, and you only look at things from an economical standpoint and have no moral regard, you would argue that Great Britain should have kept slavery because it hurt the GDP and it was bad for the economy. If you think that they should have kept slavery, then you're immoral and you're also stupid at the fact that you think a country should own humans just because it's better for the economy. So let's think about that for a second. So they had to eliminate slavery, which is the right thing to do, but it was bad for the economy. Oh no. Is Great Britain still around? Unfortunately, yes, they are. And I don't know why it's called great. There's really nothing great about Britain. Greatest thing they ever did was abolish slavery. This is an American podcast. I can say those things. So if we get rid of the junk, get rid of the garbage, and we start going to war against these people who are poisoning not just America's truck drivers, but your kids, your wife, your families, they're the reasons why they have Alzheimer's, chronic disease, high blood pressure, you name it. If we take that stuff, if we start correcting that, and I'm not saying make it illegal. People should be free to choose whatever they want. However, it should not be allowed carte blanche to be in this environment. But also, there are things that should be illegal. We see this with the ingredients, how the ingredients for the same product in Europe or Canada is different than America. Yeah, I'm sorry. Government needs to come step in on that. So if you're pro-freedom or not, I don't really care. Free market isn't good. The free market is why we're here. The free market is why we have a bunch of junk and poison in our food in the first place, because we've decided to replace quality. We put profit over quality. Like we've endorsed that as a philosophy and as a concept. So, and I'm honored to have been able to take the stage and present that narrative to a large group of people because this is what we need to do. And this is what I plan on doing for foreseeable future as an athlete, as I continue to work with sponsors, as I'm partnered with Project 61, is I'm going to keep talking about this. I'm going to stay on the Make Truckers Healthy Again wagon. I'm on the Project 61 wagon. I will continue to chase finish lines at events like Ironman for that purpose. I am going to these events for that purpose, for those guys out there, to honor people like my grandfather who passed away before his time, who had his first heart attack at 50, like his father who died in his 50s, also a driver, and do it for guys like his father's father, who's one of the people who was the architect of what made trucking what it is in this country, and for the guys who are hammered down right now over the road getting after it. That's what I'm doing a lot of this stuff for. That's what we're going after, and that's why we're going to stay on top of it. So overall takeaways, Broker Carrier Summit, a phenomenal event. Dan Lindsay, you should, a bang up job. You should be very proud of yourself. You are bringing in so many people. And what's great about these events, I just got to say, and I said it to Justin Martin, if you're not following him, Super Trucker on Twitter, and he had posted about it, those events are like the Fellowship of the Ring for freight, like everybody coming together. Like we have all built, if you look at the past year, 2 years, like the network that we've grown from Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, from LinkedIn, like all of these people, just the Venn diagram continues to get like bigger and bigger of people. And then having the opportunity to then meet in real life, it's like there's been nothing more fulfilling than doing that, than like all the online exchanges and support and learning about each other and then coming together and having the conversations and like the face-to-face handshake. It's like, it's what's been missing. And I think a lot of people's lives, and this could be an effect from COVID, this could be an effect of just the technology. Like I said, there's so many reasons why maybe meeting these people from the internet is so fulfilling. But it really is phenomenal, and it's only going to grow from here. So I mean, if you are a carrier who is a good, honest business, and you're not G-Face, and you actually want to just build a business that could last longer than your life, something you want to try to pass down to your kids. If you're a guy out there like Jamie Hagan, owner operator Hellbent Express, then get yourself to the Broker Carrier Summit. I would say it's worth your investment. If you own a business, you know this. It is a write-off. It is a work event. It's a work conference. I believe you will make that money back in your registration within weeks of going to the event from the connections you'll make. And then same thing for brokers. I was talked to Robert Bain about this and the Strongest Man in Logistics, which, by the way, we had a conversation about that. He in overall strength, he referred to himself. He said when it comes to relative strength, I might be the one with the most relative strength, but overall it's him, because I cannot bench press 500 pounds and probably never will. But anyways, Robert Bain has said this. I mean, over the years, he has talked to so many people. I mean, think of how many brokers have never met a truck driver. Like that right there is a daunting fact, that brokers who are moving X number of loads per day, like you've never even like met a trucker in real life. Like maybe your grandfather was one or something, but you haven't had like a one-on-one with a current truck driver, like in person ever. And so if you're a logistics company, brokerage, get yourself to this event, meet these carriers, because the carriers who are there, they will work for you and they want to give you good service, because that's what it's all about now. In this game, we've seen with this low freight market, it's coming back to service. It is coming back to brokers and logistics companies need good service, because they saw what happened the past COVID years. They see what happens with the Eastern European crime syndicates and the G-Faces coming in and running their chop shops of businesses and seeing how they get screwed and everything that goes on. So there are carriers out there who want to provide you an excellent service. I can't recommend it enough. This is going to be the fastest growing event in freight. And I think it's going to stay like this for a long time. Some of the other events out there, I've never been to TIA, but I posed the question out there to maybe anybody who has gone. Do you feel as though you walk away from those events gaining something? Like you as a brokerage, do you feel like you gain something from going to that event? If you do, great. But if you don't, Broker Carrier Summit is who you want to be affiliated with. Reach out to Dan Lindsay, reach out to Trey Griggs, however you want to be involved. And for any other logistics company out there, you're a TMS, whatever it is you do, and you actually care about this industry and you're not just LARPing as a person in freight and you want to be involved, talk to Dan Lindsay and Broker Carrier Summit and partner with them, because the fact that there's no booths, you just need to show up there and be you, and your leads are gonna take care of themselves, because that's who people want to meet. They want to meet you. They don't want to meet a booth. They want to actually build relationships. But here we go. Again, the solo ones, I always say, I'm going to do these quick, but then I end up just sending it, having a good time. Appreciate you guys chopping in live, especially you guys on Twitter. Got to give a big shout out to my guy, John. And I wanted to dive into this. This one I want to close out the show with. This man right here, John O'Hari. Do distributors who don't use brokers or carriers for freight have a place at this event? That is a good question. As far as I know, I don't believe there were any like shippers or receivers at this event. I don't believe that there were any like US Foods or Cisco, and those are just big name. I don't believe anybody is there, and I'm not sure if that's in the cards. That's definitely a Dan or Trey question. I think I asked him about that too. I was like, why don't you make the whole Triforce of an event, broker, carrier, shipper summit or something like that? But again, I didn't make this event. I would think broker carrier summit should remain as it is. It's just my honest opinion. I think BCS stays as it is. And if they were to do something like this, maybe it would be its own standalone event. If BCS is able to grow, I think that would be a good idea. I also think distributors are big enough businesses where they might have their own. And I'm not sure if shippers and receivers would find enough value in coming to an event like this. I don't know what kind of value they'd find. And a little bit of that might be their ego, but it's neither here nor there. But as far as I know, John, none were there. Also, give a big shout out to my man Pedro right here, saying what's up and showing some love. I got to show some love to this guy. Both of these gentlemen, John and Robert, are very bullish on the Lombard 69. John himself is about to wrap it up. And being the first driver who's taking on the Lombard 69, he's going to get himself a $100 gift card and a Lombard 69 t-shirt, which, by the way, there is merchandise. I have a store set up. I will be announcing that soon, so stand by. But John's going to get himself some of the first Lombard merch out there for completing it. Let's talk Lombard 69 real quick, and let's talk about where I'm at with trying to get that message out there and trying to really hone in on where coaching comes into play. Lombard 69, again, it's instead of a mental fitness challenge, it is a habit building challenge that I believe anybody, including especially a truck driver, can do. It is eat 100 grams or more of protein per day, 7,000 or more steps per day, 2 liters of water, and then coming straight from 75 hard, you're still going to not drink alcohol. You're going to take a progress photo every day and read 10 pages of a nonfiction, either self-help or historical book, and especially starting with Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And also, you should probably read the Napoleon biography by Andrew Roberts. Either way, John is crushing it. He's down over 20 pounds. And here's the thing with this. He started off just checking the boxes, just doing it. But as he continued to check the boxes, and as he continued to talk more and check in with me and get into it, he's found the motivation in himself to add to it. I didn't tell him to. I didn't tell him to do any more than he had to in the challenge. I just told him, do that and see where your habits are in 69 days. He's added more to it. He has gone for his first run without tape or knee braces, and he's no young spring chicken. This isn't a guy in our 20s we're talking about. This is a gentleman who has some tenure and has some tenure as a truck driver who's doing this. So will this work? Can this help you build better habits towards stacking to get yourself up there? Yes, absolutely. And going into that, we developed a Slack channel. We got Pedro in there. We got my boy Aaron in there. We got John in there. I would love to grow this Slack community. The way to get in, again, I'm helping coach these guys on the First Form, shout out 1P, on the First Form health and fitness app. It is an app where I can see your macros, what is calculated for you, kind of fine tune them a little bit based on what I think your goals are and sustainability. And it lets me see what you're eating. You can upload photos. The tool itself, the First Form app, it's what I use trucking over the road. I still use it. The app itself, $13 a month. Personally, to me, it's better than MyFitnessPal because it comes with so many workout plans. It comes with educational videos Monday through Friday about protein, about supplements, about vitamins, about so much in the health and fitness space. There's so many tools on it you can use. And there's 4 challenges a year, 4 transformation challenges a year you can jump in on and win some money. That's not through me, that's through the app. But essentially, if you come on board the First Form Health app with me, I'll get you an invite into this Slack channel. And we're just in there talking, just like send what our workouts are for today. How's our day going? Talking about food and just building a community on it. I have recently, it took a little bit of time, but I have my LLC back in good standing with the state of Texas. I had to do some franchise tax thing and pay a fee or whatever. And this all went through because we, had to get the business taxes all filed and everything. So my LLC is active, and I'm open, especially to coaching drivers and helping them with this. And I believe that this is the tool that I want the team on. It's what helped me. It's what helped me run 5 marathons as an over-the-road truck driver. And now I'd like to help build a community off of that with everybody who's involved. So if you want to jump in, whether you're a trucker, broker, let's do it, man. That's the business now. We're Lombard Fit Motor Freight. That's the brand. That's what we're doing. Lombard is an athlete. That's where I'm going. And Fit Motor Freight is the business, is the coaching company that would be more than happy to work with drivers, brokers, anybody in this industry, and really anybody at all who wants to get involved. Let's see. Got a comment dropped in here. Can't see your name for some reason. I'm sorry about that. StreamYard doing that. I think that's the biggest questions I have when setting a conference itinerary or budget for the year. Where is your time best spent, and what do you take the most away from? That's always been very subjective by conference and by individual. So I'd say it boils down to what you want to take from it. And yeah, good point. I mean, when it comes to the shippers, what are they going to take away from it? Is that shipper going to benefit by spending up, thousands of dollars to send people, to an event, to meet, motor carriers? Is their demand larger? Do they need to meet more people? Do they already have contract? Like, that's the thing. These shippers may already have contracts in place. The idea of networking with other people might not be worth it. Great comment. I appreciate you guys dropping in. Any last minute remarks, drop them in the comment section below. I'm going to walk this one out. Again, before I sign off, it is officially race week here at Lombard Fit Motor Freight. I will start driving on Wednesday to Panama City Beach for Ironman Florida. This will be my first full distance Ironman. I want to give a big thank you. I had an anonymous sponsor who believed in me several months ago. They said, do you think you could do full distance Ironman by the end of the year? And I said, I can, because I've kind of been, when it comes to training, and I don't want to go too deep into like how hard I've been training, but essentially since 75 hard, I've been preparing for this. And in reality, I've been preparing for it for the past 6 years of never looking back. But at the time when they had asked me, I think this was in August, I was like, yeah, I can do it. I was like, I will do it. I had already signed up for Ironman Texas. I'm already going to Ironman Texas, April 26th. That's in the Woodlands. That was already there, especially because Austin Marathon is 2 months before. So it's like perfect training time. I said, look, I'll finish it. I was like, I'm not going to perform the way I want to, but come hell or high water, I can drag my knuckles across that finish line before midnight. And they were like, well, we want you to go. We love what you're doing. We love the mission, and we'd be happy to pay the race fees. And so very, very honored and blessed to be making it to the starting line of another race. Again, perfect world. I think I'm able to do it in 14 or less, but things happen, flat tires, first full distance, I'm going to be taking my time. For me personally, as an athlete, the swim is the easy part. I know it's a challenge for a lot of people, but the swim, I did a 2.4 mile open swim race in Waco just over a month ago. That one was a little all out. I still think I came out of that knowing I could easily get on a bike, but there was very easy. I did that in my Speedo. I don't need a wetsuit for that type of stuff. So for me, I'll take the swim easy, knock it out 90 minutes or less. You factor a 10-minute transition, rinse off, get myself dialed in. It comes down to the nutrition. Really, that's all it is. When it comes to these events, it's just you got to keep feeding the machine. That's it. So after the swim, feed the machine. BPN Go Bars, big shout out. BPN Bear Performance Nutrition. They're my fuel for these events. Freaking Uncrustables, whatever. You just give yourself 300, 400 calories. You hop on the bike. I got gels. Full distance, you're able to tap into a special needs bag at the halfway point of the bike. So I'll bike 56 miles, probably take me 3 and a quarter, between 3.5 hours, chill, take a break, stretch, refill my fuel, take back off, hit the back half. I'm not, that's the thing this is where people don't make it. And I know this from doing my homework, from doing the research. I'll take 7 hours on the bike. Doesn't bother me. I know it's boring. I'll have to start thinking about cavalry charges or something, but I'll chill. 90 minutes in the swim, maybe a 10-minute transition. Who knows? Take my time, catch my breath, freaking ease into it, get on the bike. Because the thing is, if I make the bike long and I just chill, you got to keep the heart rate low, zone 2, and I don't use a lot of power. And I've been doing good on the bike lately and doing the 70.3. I felt it on some of the bike rides I did this week. I biked over 100 miles this week alone. Feels very effortless. Keep the heart rate low, chill. 7 hour. If I do a 7 hour bike, I can run between a 4 and 5 hour marathon. I think if I keep feeding the machine, weather's going to be pristine, ideal. The crowd is electric in a place like Panama City Beach. So if you're out there, if you're in the area, feel free to come out, hit me up, drop me a line. You can track me. You can download the Ironman app and you can search my name under the event. You can track me there. That'll be this Saturday, November 2nd. And again, I'm going there to represent Lombard. And what Lombard represents is my family's company, my grandfather, his father, and not to take out, my father as well. His business does own a box truck. It does have a DOT number, but my dad was never a commercial driver. But because of him, I'm fortunate to have the name. So it's for my family and it's for all you guys out there over the road. There's a lot of people who do events honorably. I recently met Matt Johnson, who ran across Texas, and I want to close with something he had told me. He's doing something for vets, for Valor Fit. There's a lot of people who do stuff for veterans, for St. Jude, for cancer research, and I'm not downplaying that at all, but how many people do you see? How many, and I'm not calling myself an influencer, but how many influencers you see popular things on Instagram? They're doing it for stuff like that. It could be Special Olympics, those types of charities. How many doing it for truck drivers, for the trucking industry? I'd like to think I'm the only one, and I like being in that conversation as the only one now, but we're going to grow it. The idea would be the Lombard Fit Motor Freight team can grow to have more drivers, more people in this industry running these events for Project 61. That's what we're talking about. We're going out there, pounding the chest, beating the war drum for this message, going to these events, going around talking about it to other athletes. Because that's what I'm going to do. The whole time I'm at Ironman Village, like anybody I meet, they're going to see the tri-suit. They're going to ask what it's about. And I'm going to be talking about it, getting this conversation, tell them, hey, go to Project 61, do this. It's going to be on the ground. It's like growing a business. It's the same thing, just getting people to know about it. What's crazy is when I have these conversations with people about the industry, and they all know, they're all like, oh yeah, that job can't be good for people. Like, they're sitting all the time. Like they know, but just like the industry, transportation, it's happening everywhere, but nobody knows everything about it. They know the job is killing people, but it's neither here nor there. The shelves are full, so nobody cares about it. So that's the thing. We need to change that. One last quick shout out before we get off, because this is somebody who was a firm believer in the message, who came right up to me after we got off stage. Her name's Caroline Kelly. Thank you Okay, I'm back. Internet had a little funk. My power funneled. Well, I'm not really editing. So, anyways, one last shout out. Wanted to give it to uh, Caroline Kelly, who works over at Turvo TMS. Thank you for coming up after I got off stage to support the mission and this message of making America healthy again. It does not go unnoticed or underappreciated. If you guys can help, ways to help in any way, go to project-61.org, sign up to be a supporter. There's not a donation link yet, but sign up to be a supporter. So whether you're a carrier, brokerage, whatever, we need all hands on deck to be a part of this mission. So go there now to help us out. We need to blow this thing up. It needs to be bigger than everything. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than, it's big. We're talking about saving lives, getting resources, getting education, going to events, talking about this, and we need to mainstream it. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take a whole industry to do it. Now, I did want to sign off with one last message. So I met with this guy, Matt Johnson. I saw him this weekend here in Austin after a bike ride. He just recently ran across Texas, El Paso to Galveston. It took him 17 days, 9 hours, and 3 minutes to go over 850 miles. It's averaging freaking 40 miles a day at like 13.5 mile paces or what have you. Absolute beast. And two things that he said to ensure victory come game day is, one, lean on your why. And my why is pretty huge because I care so much about you guys, and I'm very passionate about America and my family and what part they played in American history. And I've said it before on this show. America was built by families. Like my family was built by family businesses, small business out there, and we don't have that anymore. We don't have that type of legacy that gets passed down. Friend of the show, Dom Tulo, he's fortunate enough to be carrying on a family legacy. Eric Taylor over there at Taylor Quick Pick, they're carrying on a family legacy, and they take immense pride in that. And that's stuff that's gone away with manufacturing, going overseas, with all that stuff. Like, so much of that has gone away, and this is my way of being able to carry a family name into the 21st century. And that why being it, all of you guys, like every single driver that I've met ever since I've worked in a warehouse, you're all just you guys fire me up. Like the fact that you wake up day in, day out, and take on an industry. And I was a part of it too, but you guys are still out there day in, day out, waking up, taking on a world that is hell bent on making your life and your day harder. And you still are trucking, still pushing through, still out there, spreading the good word, spreading peace and love. Like that literally makes me want to run through a brick wall. And so it's quite literally for you guys. You guys fire me up to keep doing it. And I really appreciate it. The second thing he had told me, and this is an important one for anybody out there who is struggling or who thinks that they can't do it or thinks that it's too late or what have you. But he told me, he's like, dude, whenever you're out there, you're in the pain cave. All you need to do, he goes, because it goes right away once you just remember the fact that you are so lucky to be doing what you're doing. You're so lucky. You're so blessed. There are people out there who would do anything to feel the pain you have in your legs, to do anything to feel that soreness. There are thousands upon thousands of people who don't have that function, who have lost it, lost limbs, lost so much that they'll never in their life have the opportunity to know what it could be like to get to a finish line of an Ironman event. And you got to do it for them. You got to do it for the ones who can't. Like it's the one way you can honor. It's the one way you can honor it, by doing it for those who can't. Like if you're not out there just trying to give it your all and give it everything you've got, if you've got those two functioning legs, if you got a good beating heart, if you got it, you got to use it, because there's people out there who would quite literally trade anything in the world to be able to do it for just one more day. But I'll leave you with that, guys. Thank you once again for tuning in. Sorry for the technical issues. Thank you for all you guys who tuned in live. Again, project-61.org. Go become a supporter. You can still donate to Reach Across America as well. reachacrossamerica.org/Lombard if you are down to support that cause. Always helps me out. And again, you want to cut your calories, you want to take away added sugars, you want to get some more protein, but you still want some more energy at the same time. Drink Super Coffee today, available at Quick Trip. You can get it at Casey's, Walmart, anywhere, but you can also still go on Amazon, get that first order 20% off using the discount code Lombard20. More to come. A lot of great guests lined up. I will touch base with you guys after Ironman Florida. Follow along with me on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most, where I talk, give some more updates. But with that, guys, we're going back to the bench.